Hey there guys, welcome back to Community Starcraft 2. I am your host Sidewinder, back to bring you just some more pro games, and this set of pro games is going to be a 3-game series. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Mden'ToD, who is the blue Protoss here, fighting Cupcake, who is the green Terran, and I think if your cupcakes are green you should probably not eat them. It usually indicates they are growing fungus of some sort. So this is going to be a Terran versus Protoss here on the Shattered Temple, which is a very, very standard map. I'm sure everyone that plays StarCraft or has seen StarCraft has seen the Shattered Temple go into a game that they've either played or seen before, so not too much to talk about here, but they will be on cross spawns. It looks like it's a MLG variant of the map, so that there is a neutral supply depot here preventing any walling off, but you typically won't see any walls in this matchup anyway, considering there's just not much of a reason to do it unless the Terran player was going for like a Marine and SCV all in, but you never really see those anymore. We'll go ahead and just jump right into the game here, see what both players are doing. Todd is going to scout here at a weird time on about 11 and not lay down his gateway yet. He's going to go ahead and put it down on 13, starting another probe here as soon as he gets the minerals, and there he goes. And Cupcake looks like he started his barracks on 12, so very normal stuff. Gas on 13. So yeah, we're really not going to see these players deviate until I think the Protoss player makes a decision as to what's going to go up after his cybernetics core. But contrary to popular belief, the Terran player can do a whole bunch of weird stuff on one base, but I don't know that we're really going to see that kind of stuff this game. I haven't really seen Cupcake play, so I don't know who he is or where he's from. I have seen Todd play plenty of times, and Todd is really, really good. One of the most underrated foreign Protosses there is, partially because us ignorant North Americans don't really know much about European players. But yeah, Todd is definitely a big player over in Europe, and very, very talented Protoss player nonetheless. Here comes Todd's Cybernetics Core. He's continuing to aggressively lay down Chrono Boosts here on his Nexus, so looks to be going for a pretty aggressive economic opening. I would expect probably just a 1-gate fast expand, which is very normal against Terran. There's going to be a tech lab here first on the barracks for Cupcake. This is usually going to be to grab Marauder slow, a couple Marauders, and press out with that. So we will see exactly what that turns out to be. Let me go ahead and set myself to busy here before I forget. Putting out a Marauder, as we can see, and there's the slow. The Cybernetics Core is now finishing up here for Todd. He does have kind of a pylon put out of the way a little bit, but I don't know that he's really going to be putting a ton there. It looks like he just wants to be able to warp in on the low ground here to get slightly faster reinforcements. And here's a second, or rather his third pylon is going to be over on the right side of the map on this right base. So he may be going for something sneaky here like Dark Templar expand, but we will see what he wants to do with that. Another Chrono Boost being laid down here on the Warp Gate tech. And this is about the time where, if you're Protoss, you choose what you're going to be doing next as this Stalker hits the field so that the SCV will not see it. Here's the expansion out of Cupcake. And he's going to go ahead and put out one more Marauder and probably rally it with these units and push up there and see what he can do. But the expansion time is going to tell a lot to this Terran player as far as what's going on. This Protoss player barely lives. And Todd wants to kill this depot with his extra Stalker. So I'm still not sure what the meaning of this extra pylon is over here. Todd just has one more gateway going up. Another pylon back here at his base. Yeah, it looks like he wants to put down a Nexus as soon as he gets the minerals, but I don't understand what that pylon over there was for. Maybe just for later reinforcements and counting on Cupcake not seeing it. You can see him putting his patrol on a rally. He does now lay down the Nexus. It's going to be well behind the command center of Cupcake, but most Terrans like to transform that into an orbital command before they land it, just to be safe. So it's really not that far behind. These Marauders and Marine don't feel the need to go ahead and press up there, considering they haven't seen anything here at the bottom. If they were to straight up engage this, they would actually probably win that fight. So Todd being a little bit loose here on his build order, a little greedy, but he is going to go ahead and take a robotics facility and a third gateway so that he can get scouting information really quickly. I don't know that Todd really sees much, and I'm not sure if this is some like sterile testing environment or this is actually just a game between two players that just want to fight each other. But it looks like we have a starport going down now and a reactor. So this is going to be ultra fast medevacs out of Cupcake. So yeah, this is really rare to see both players going for builds that are this greedy. They're very unsafe. If either player were to pressure right now, it would just end the game. So like for example, if Todd went for a 4-gate, he'd bust through this easily. There's no way Cupcake's going to hold this off with only 2 barracks. And likewise, if Cupcake went for a fast, like 3 racks timing push. He'd probably just break Todd really easily. The Nexus is now done. Observer is now on its way. Probes are going to get transferred out of the main. We're going to see how many probes he likes to transfer. He likes to transfer 8. That's a good number. Third gateway is now transforming. More zealots and stuff on the way. Here comes the super fast 2 medevacs. I'm not sure what this is actually for, but this is very risky. And Todd just is completely in the dark about this. If you were to see just nothing here with his observer whenever that arrives, that could encourage him just to go really fast into some kind of gateway attack, but no, he's going to lay down his robotics bay and get Colossus out instead. So this is kind of a strange tempo to this so far. Observer flies over the army. Cupcake, it looks like he doesn't notice it so far, or at least he doesn't have the energy to scan. No, he just drops 2 mules instead. So he's going to go ahead and press out with these 2 medevacs and this small bioforce. This is such a weird timing. I've never seen this before, but up comes Cupcake. He's going to hit. I don't think, actually he does have stim, but he does not have shield. So he's going to press up here with stim and 2 medevacs. This is going to be pretty tough, but Todd has a lot of stuff on the field. Probes now evacuate. They're all going to be assigned to the gas. Here comes the big engagement here. Decent force field, but the zealots are being slowed so badly by these stim marauders. The medevacs are going to die pretty easily to this stalker fire, so just eating a lot of fire here so that his bio can take out all the zealots, but this crush gets pushed, or rather this push gets crushed by Todd. Well, not necessarily crushed. He did lose all of his zealots, but that's a decent trade if you're going Colossus, considering you're pushing his bio off the field. He did also lose a medevac just for his zealots, so Todd doing pretty well in that fight there. Cupcake still kind of rallying stuff to the middle of the field. So you can see, I mean, obviously he did pull out those units, but he will be able to just rally these. One thing I don't see enough out of Terran players also is them repairing their medevacs. So it seems kind of rare that Terran players will actually be conscious enough to repair their medevacs, and it's something you should always do. So if you're a Terran player and you don't repair your medevacs, why? Here comes Todd setting up all of his units here. He's going to try and hide some stuff, or perhaps he's spotting for that drop that could have come along this ledge right here, which I'm kind of surprised this ledge is still in the game. It's kind of a cheap place in the map. But here's one Colossus on the field. Range is now coming down. There's not a second Colossus started though, so Todd's going to be pretty aggressive with this small pack of units now that he knows he really crushed that push pretty hard. And he can see pretty much all of Cupcake's army in the middle of the map right here. So he's going to be pretty aggressive about pressing up here, but Cupcake will be able to reinforce. He's now putting out 3 Marauders at a time. He's now on 4 barracks, which is a little more normal, but still not a ton. You typically want to see Terrans at about 5 barracks right now, but he is spending gas on Vikings instead. So he's going to be going for the direct counter that he sees out of Todd. So this is a really tech-heavy, kind of a game that is balancing on a very thin stick or something. I don't know. Like, both players are investing a lot into really early tech, and it's just not doing a ton yet. So we'll see where both these players choose to go after this. There's now 3 Vikings coming out at a time. As you can see, there's a second starport done. So there's going to be a lot of Vikings on the field, and Todd is still making another Colossus, so it's going to put him at 3 as soon as this extra one finishes. His Colossus range is about done, but if he saw how many Vikings and what else is coming on the field, it might have actually been wise of him just to stop making Colossus and cancel the range upgrade, and then just go straight into Templar tech and take a 3rd. But we'll see where this game decides to go. 2 more gateways are on the way. It's going to put Todd at about 5. So we can see here, no, it's actually 6. I guess I counted that for 1. But Templar Archives is now coming down, as we can see it here at the top of the map. More Vikings. This is a lot of Vikings out right now. He's going to be at 8 pretty soon. And it's going to be enough to, I think, almost 2-shot a Colossus. I'd have to quickly do all the math, but that's a lot of damage output nonetheless. Whereas Todd doesn't have a ton of stalkers, so all these Colossus are going to die pretty easily to those Vikings. But if you see this few stalkers, you don't need to make that many Vikings anyway, so if he sees more zealots being warped in here, he has to figure that a Templar transition is coming up. Charge is now on the way, the Forge is finishing up, he's probably going to start +1 armor, and yep, there he goes. So you want to start armor so your zealots can eat damage, but here comes the push out from Cupcake, and this is actually kind of scary. Charge isn't done, obviously, armor isn't done, Templars don't have Storm, but here comes the attack out of Cupcake. He's just going to try and snipe these Colossi, and he'll be able to get them pretty easily. As you can see, look how fast they die. Marauders now press in here pretty hard. All these zealots are not going to be able to do anything. Feedback goes down on a medevac, but there's just not enough stuff here for Todd right now. Finally comes the force field. He's able to trap these Marauders and have them take damage out of these zealots. So Todd finally getting those force fields down and may still hold this. It's going to be pretty close. Archon is now warping in. It looks like all the medevacs ran out of energy, or at least died. I think they actually got focused down, but the Marauders are still on the field. They're fairly hurt Marauders, and Todd needs to be kind of careful here, but he's in a little bit of an advantage, even though the supplies show that Cupcake is way ahead. He's at least in an advantage in the fight here. There was a small Viking land here, as we can see. I was just going to say a drop, but you don't really drop Vikings. A few Vikings are lost, but it looks like he got a bunch of workers there. He killed 21 workers. Wow. The Marauders are now pressing up here once again, and he snipes the Nexus, so Todd is in terrible shape. Charge finishes on these Zealots, so Todd's going to basically have to go all in here in a second, considering he's so far behind right now. Looks like they were just saying that Todd didn't hear that Viking drop due to the noise. I don't know what noise he's talking about. But anyway, 97 to 85 supply. Todd isn't that far behind, but his economy is really going to start sucking here pretty soon. Here comes 3 more medevacs out of Cupcake. This is a really wonky timing, and look at all these Tech Lab barracks. This is a lot of Marauders. Mobius Reactor now coming down, which is Ghost Energy, so Ghost Archives, yeah, that's it. Ghost Academy is now done. Factory is spotting everything that goes on here at Todd's base, and he's going to have to dedicate some Stalker Fire to kill that and get it out of there. Which, if you Terran players are watching and you don't do this kind of stuff, it does reveal that you are going bio, but it's fine because this scout lives for a long time, and it's going to get a lot of information before it's, before you waste it, before it dies. So it will eventually burn down here, as we can see the flames coming out. Weird game here, but a little bit of downtime. Storm is now finally starting. There are going to be 3, or rather 5 ghosts on the field. Holy crap. The third is now coming down here for Cupcake. You can see he did spot that pylon, so that pylon didn't actually do anything. It could have been just a drop spotting pylon, but typically Terran players will fly their medevacs a little further away. I don't know. Here comes another observer to see what's going on here in the front of the Terran main, but he might fly right into this missile turret. The bunkers are now getting salvaged. Cupcake wants to shoot these rocks down so he can go ahead and take his third. The observer might fly into the turret. It's going to be pretty close, and the Vikings see it. It's going to go down pretty fast. Yep, there it goes. So, thus be the crux of Protoss scouting. Very easy to shoot those observers down. A lot of Marauders are on the field. It's purely Marauder, no Marines at all in this composition. There's going to be 6 medevacs on the field now, and that's a lot considering the few number of bio units underneath, but it basically means that every bio unit gets its own healing. Todd was actually able to rebuild his Nexi and kind of hang in this game pretty well. I'm surprised. Usually when you lose a Nexus like that and you lose a bunch of probes at your main, it puts you on one base for about another 2 minutes, and that's pretty devastating to get that far behind, but Todd's macro definitely is impressive. He's taken his third. Cupcake scans, and look at Todd. He should be starting to spread out his units. You can see him spreading his Templar anyway, so that one EMP doesn't kill everything. There's a feedback and a snipes exchange, and Archon is now pressing up here. Huge feedbacks all over everything, but now there's no Templar energy, so a little bit of a trade there. I think Todd can actually win this fight if he just goes in and uses decent force fields, and Cupcake knows it, so he's just going to have to back off for a second. 2 more Ghosts are now rallying, and they are EMP ready. These few Templar do not have enough energy for Storm, so we can see them being pulled forward for feedback. Oh, amazing feedbacks right there. Really nice stuff. Big Storm goes down, but it hits most of the Zealots. So you can see the Vikings are getting in the way. The Marauders are kiting back against these Zealots as much as they possibly can. The few Vikings sniped the one Colossus that was on the field. The Zealots are doing pretty well against these Marauders, but Todd is really having to scramble to get all this stuff together. He's going to just chase Cupcake all the way back to his base. There's a couple of stray Marauders just standing here eating Zealot fire, and finally Todd pulls back. And he actually cleaned that attack up pretty well. As you can see, he's now ahead in supply. There's a Viking still flying around in Todd's base. He does have one Stalker chasing it, so this Terran player kind of losing track of his Vikings just a little bit, and this last Viking is going to not die. But you can see Todd switching back into Colossus and Templar now that he's going to have the gas on 3 bases as soon as he decides to take these. But he has a pretty big force on the field. This is kind of what happens if you don't go Marines. Marine DPS is very valuable here. You can't just always stick to Marauders, considering how badly Marauders do against Zealots. But if you get good upgrades on your Zealots, the Marines really need to be there to put out all the extra damage. And Stim Marines can focus down Zealots pretty fast. But still just sticking to this all Marauder composition. There's more Ghosts coming out, more Marauders. He's not making more Vikings, so he needs to drop a scan here and see that the robotics bay is, or rather robotics facility is actually active. I can't get over how nice those feedbacks were out of Todd, though. Those were really beautiful. You notice that Cupcake didn't land any EMPs, so if you're a Protoss player having trouble with EMP, note what Todd did there by pulling a few Templar up individually and just feedbacking the Ghosts before he engages. Really does a lot to help out the fights. Todd, again, recovering very well from all the damage that he took earlier, so he's, again, still ahead in supply by about 13, but there's going to be +3 attack Marauders on the field here pretty soon. That's pretty hard to deal with. As we can see, +2 ground weapons is on the way for Todd. He's taking his gold as well, in addition to a couple of cannons here at the front door to prevent Ghosts from just walking in there and screwing things up, along with a Templar. So he scans, he sees the gold. There is one random Marauder standing over here preventing a base from going down at the left side for Todd. But this Terran player really needs to take a fourth. He can't afford to stay on this army composition for very much longer. You can see him, he's now creeping back up in supply, but Todd has a lot of big stuff on the field. Look at all these Archons. There's a few Storm-Ready Templar, 4 Storm-Ready Templar, and 2 Colossus on the field, to which Cupcake really doesn't have an answer for. So +2 Colossus versus +2 Marauders. I have to give the Colossus the benefit of the doubt there. There's a ton of Ghosts on the field, though. I think this is actually too many Ghosts, but we'll see how this fight goes down. Probe transfer happening now to send all these probes to the gold. Cancian Reserva moving over here from Todd, so he'll be able to see those Ghosts. And spotting in this Templar versus Ghost battle is actually really important. But look at Todd spreading his units out once again, so the EMPs aren't going to be all that meaningful if they do get landed. There's a lot of EMPs stored up here. Cupcake with proper control should be able to EMP everything. Huge feedback on that Ghost. He can pull another Templar and feedback the other Ghost and land a Storm. So geez, this is such good Templar control. Here comes the press up from Todd. That's a massive army. Pressing in here, EMPs on everything. We can see the Zealots and Archons and everything pressing up, trying to do as much damage as they can. The Colossus are just going to chug through everything because there's no counter for them on the field right now. So Colossus just owning everything on the field. Todd is now up by about 30 supply, and that lead is going to continue to grow. Cupcake does say good game. So wow, that was really great Templar control there out of Todd. I'm very impressed with that. And I don't get enough chances to watch this guy play, but damn, like his Templar control is outstanding. Some of the best I've ever seen. To be able to land feedbacks like that before Ghost can actually land anything. So yeah, Todd looking really good in that match. I'm going to go ahead and bring you game 2, and I'm pretty sure this is a best of 3. I think it's just a match between a couple of guys on a custom game on Battle.net. So we'll see what happens in the remainder of the series. I'll jump to the next game right away.